Alright guys, before I get to this, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hope you guys have a Happy New Year, good holiday season. You and your families, whatever you do, whoever you get together with, not my business. Evidently they didn't put all the Christmas decorations up at this house. You wouldn't think so when you come up to it because it's loaded outside and loaded inside, and I guess they didn't want to use these. But I just thought I'd say I appreciate everybody that subscribed and watched this year and liked and commented, and hope you have a good holiday. Now let's get on to this thing. All right guys, so I am looking at a Train furnace. This is a S8 something or another. Oh gosh, the sticker's always upside down. S8B1, so S8B1. Anyway, it's just a single stage, 90%, 80% furnace from Train. Oh, so we're running a second opinion property manager that we have. I guess the lady that lives here, she's elderly, said that he quit working. Another company came out and they said that they did something temporarily that got the unit back up and running, but if they had another problem with it, it would need a new board. So I've already kind of looked through. None of my safeties are bypassed. I don't know what they would do to get it temporarily running other than just flick the power on and off and reset the fault, and then it ran fine. I don't see anything bypassed, which you shouldn't do that in a furnace. It came on. I've disconnected the W1, letting the thermostat call for heat. But first thing I want to do is go in the book here and check our last 6 fault codes. So on this Train furnace, and most of these newer furnaces, S models, you can go in and recover your last 6 faults. So to do that, you just push your memory or your menu button, and then when you see L6F come up, now you can push your other button and you can cycle through your faults. So we have an E04 fault. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. Let me get back through. I was hitting the menu button again. Okay, idle, error, L6F. Last 6 faults. So we got an E04, and we've got a E11, E04 again, E11, E04, E11. So at some point this thing's been getting a fault for E11, first stage gas valve not energized when it should be, second stage. So the second stage doesn't come into play because we have a single stage valve. So E11 will be first stage gas not energized when it should be, meaning it's probably not firing off, not getting a flame sense, or first stage gas valve relay stuck closed. And then the E04, well, it's going to be another one of those reverse airflow switches, main thermal, limit, your rollout, and then your right there for the E04. Let me get back to it. Open limit, main limit, rollout, or reverse airflow switch. And those reverse airflow switches are back inside there, so I hope they didn't bypass one of those. Rollout's not tripped, it's not bypassed. The primary limit over here is not tripped, it's not bypassed. So we'll start with our gas valve situation first. I'm going to stick this in here and go ahead and get the W1 back in there. That may, thermostat may be satisfied, so we'll just jump it out. It was running when I got here. She said she's had heat since they left. It's only been a couple of days or something like that, but I know there was an issue for a while in the S9 models. of us getting that E11 fault, and it was the board. It wasn't the gas valve or anything like that. It was a board problem. Train seems to have a lot of those these days. And then the E04 fault, if you saw that other video I did on that other furnace, we had a bad limit in there that would just randomly pop open, even though the temperatures in the system weren't hot enough to trip it, and then it wouldn't reset. So that's an issue with some of these furnaces. I'm gonna turn the gas back on. Alright, so we have fired off. So it seems to ignite. Oh, now that's loose. All I did was bump the wires. Doesn't want to go back on there. It shouldn't come off that easy. Unless we got an intermittent issue with a ground problem, or neutral, or common. That should be my common wire. This should be my wire that fires off. We're still on a call. Igniter's coming back on. Wire is awful loose on that terminal. This one doesn't move. This one is a little loose. And of course, if it loses contact, somebody's pulled it off before, and it's just they didn't squeeze it back down and tighten. Well, shit. That one's broke. A piece is broke off the side of it right there. I don't know if that was a problem or not, but I'm gonna put a new stake on this thing real quick. Alright, so let me disconnect. Yeah, I disconnected my car from my jump. No, let me unplug my jumper real quick so it will reset. I'll try to fire off again while I'm doing this. So we will put a new stake on this real quick. And I'm working with the camera today. GoPro's in the truck. I forgot to put the SD card in it. I try to use that as much as I can because I just like having both hands when I'm working. Some guys do a good job using their phones making these videos. For some reason, I just am not all that great at it because I want both my hands free while I'm working. So anyway, so you saw the difference on that. One of these pieces was broke off on that other one, and it just wasn't tight on here. Not sure that was the problem she was having, but I wasn't here when the original call happened. But those are two separate fault codes. So that's on there nice and snug now. So the next thing I want to do is pop this door open real quick. And without one of those limits back there being open while I'm here, I really can't go through that process of checking it and taking my time and making sure it's stuck open with a cold furnace. So just because I'm running behind somebody that I'm not sure what they were doing, and they said they fixed something temporarily and said that if it quit working again, they would need the board. Hopefully they didn't bypass one of those switches back there. And then if it goes out again, it's the board, it's not the switch. So I don't want to be the one to leave that way if they did that. So I'm going to pop this thing open real quick just to make sure, for my peace of mind, that they didn't leave a safety bypassed on this thing. All right, so I have this door pulled back enough for me to see that switch. It sits right back there on the back of the blower. If you look there, Trying to focus that thing in a little bit. So that one's still connected. There's another one down on the bottom, down here on the bottom other side. And it is still connected as well. And I don't see any wire nuts. Or maybe they just cut a wire and bypassed it that way. So, and that would have been for that EO4 fault. So yeah, it comes right back to this harness. Not seeing any wire nuts. Both of my limits in there are still the reverse airflow switch. One in the back and one back there. They're still wired in, so they didn't bypass any of my safeties. And I just, being the last one here, I don't like leaving safeties bypassed. You'll get what you need and come back. You put somebody at risk if you start bypassing safety switches to get a unit running. Let's get all that back together. I'm gonna jump this thing back out. And I'm gonna let it run a little bit. Well, hold on. One more thing to do. Get the damn plug back on. There. Alright. Now we'll turn it back on. One thing I know to do is let it run a little bit. And recycle power. Turn it back on and let it run a little bit and see. I mean, that could have been the problem. We didn't run the original call, so I'm just kind of coming behind and checking. And that would have been related to the E11 fault, which would have been the first stage gas right there, not starting. Through the sequence, the igniter comes on, it sends the power to the valve, but the flame sensor never senses flame. I mean, I don't know, is that... And it says first stage gas valve not energized when it should be. But do we have faults for the flame sensor? So wouldn't that have been maybe a flame sensor fault? It doesn't say anything related to that. Voltage bad, igniter open, first stage not energized. Got flame detected, should not be present, so I guess this flame sensor is still getting a flame after you call for heat drops. Shorted pressure switch, first stage, cycles exceeded return. Yeah, so that would be recycles exceeded, flame sensed, then lost. Then there's a flame never sensed. So first stage gas valve not energized when it should be. I mean, I don't understand how it would know that without the flame sensor just not picking up a flame. Unless the board itself knows, for whatever reason, it's not energizing the gas valve. I don't know. They put so many faults in that thing now. It used to be like 7 or 8 standard fault codes. Now you got a damn book that you got to read to decipher. Was it a flame sensor? Is it first stage gas not getting energized? I mean, the gas valve doesn't communicate back to the board to tell it that it's not getting energized. So I would just simply think that if it's not getting energized and the flame sensor never senses the flame, then you just get a flame sense fault and you come out here and turn it on and find out, oh, my gas valve's either not working or my board's not turning it on. I don't know. Somebody got a bonus for all that crap right there. Anyway, so I'm gonna let it run a little bit, and maybe that's what it was. That stake arm being cracked, and that wire being loose. Maybe intermittently you lose it common. I don't know. The switches aren't bypassed, so that doesn't explain the EO4 fault. That's a whole different fault. So it's kind of hard with these newer furnaces to come behind somebody else and the unit's working and speculate on what they saw or what they did and try to determine a diagnosis without really being here in front of it when it happens. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna chalk it up to that, and if they call back, they call back, and we'll come back. That's how it works sometimes. Appreciate you watching.